Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of MT Talk. Today, I wanted to talk about one more important aspect of human life: relationships. How relationships are governed by a lot of things that happens in the invisible, but has a lot of visible, greater, deeper impacts in our life. And therefore, I thought it will be important for us to get a little more insight and clarity from my perspective, based on my experiences, on the correlation between awareness and relationships. So, whether it is a relationship between two partners, the spouses, uh, whether it's a relationship between a parent and a child, or a relationship between friends, co-workers, relatives, all of those relationships that make our life, our existence, our identity meaningful. Most of these beautiful, comfortable relationships we have are based on an emotional connection, a very authentic, very organic, very honest, emotional connection, and the clarity in the understanding of the basis because of which that relationship has formed. It could be the clarity in how the other person thinks, what the other person values, what is more important to the other person than anything else. So the clarity and understanding about other person's thinking patterns, worldviews, what likes and dislikes the other person has, and that emotional connection. These are all the basis of good relationship, comfortable relationships. And at the same time, these relationships can go sour, can go bad, and these relationships end up being broken over a period of time when there is assumption, there is response and reaction to incidences and experiences, not based on facts, not based on emotional connection, but based on assumptions and our past tendencies. So, a great relationship is formed on the bedrock of emotional connection and the clarity and understanding about each other's expectations. The same relationship can go sour if we don't have clarity in the expectations, and if we have made some assumptions which lead to misunderstanding. Now, let us look at some scenarios and see how those things happen. And I'm going to just pick some examples, and you can then put this understanding in the context of your relationships and try to see how it connects the awareness, the tendencies, and relationships. What's the cycle? What's the connection? So let's say husband and wife, we have our views and perspectives about things that matter to us, to our families, to our life together, our children, and all that. And in conversations between husband and wife, if there are disagreements in terms of what needs to happen, how it needs to happen, when it needs to happen, whether or not it needs to happen, sometimes the partners may not see things the same way, and it's okay as long as we don't assume that the other person doesn't love me anymore or care for me anymore or value my perspective. You can agree to disagree as long as you continue on a path which still keeps that emotional connection, that mutual respect, and the common desire to run the family and the relationship smoothly. Not everything that we discuss or decide is going to be mutually consensual. So, same thing is with between a parent and a child. There will be times in the lives of our children when we may not agree with what they say, what they do, and they may also have the same thing. So in those moments, instead of trying to fight and argue, if we can look at what is it that triggers this difference in the perspectives, what tendencies are at play, go back and see if that decision, that reaction is based on some kind of assumption, some kind of interpretation, some kind of labeling without really checking the facts or checking how it feels at that moment. So the decision is based on assumptions or past programming or things in the memory bank or something somebody has said and you heard and you believed, or an honest introspection of why do I really feel like this, that my child has done something wrong or my spouse has done something wrong or my coworker has not been fair, is because in our mind we have all listed all these relationships not as relationships but as shopping lists. We have expectations from each of our relationships that this relationship in my life is going to satisfy this emotional need, that relationship in my life is going to satisfy that emotional need, and so forth. So we have bucketed all our relationships according to the wish list that each of these emotions are going to fulfill in our life. And when we see those things are not in alignment with what we have set as expectations, then those relationships tend to go sour. So my point is this: do not tie expectations with relationships just to fulfill your wish list, your bucket list. Treat them very authentically, honestly, organically. Treat the emotional connection and the value it brings to our lives, and then decide to protect it, to sustain that good relationship, the feeling of good relationship. And when the relationships start to go sour or feels like breaking or broken, then go check back at where it all started. What tendencies in your mind shuts you down from having that open communication platform? So that's another thing that happens is, when you start making decisions based on assumptions and fixate it in your mind that this is how it is, even the communication platform starts to shut down and we don't talk to each other. And the more you do that, the less likely it is that we will mend our relationships. And therefore, always staying true to what feelings led us to have that great relationships and what feelings are taking us away from that relationship is going to keep it in one piece, one place, and sustainable. So hopefully this gives a newer, different insight or perspective on relationships and how our awareness of thoughts and the tendencies can either make it better or make it worse. So however it works for you, put this in the context of your life situation and see how it works. And I'll be delighted to hear your thoughts, comments, questions on this contemplative insight from today. We'll see what comes tomorrow. Until then, take care, stay safe, love and peace to all. Bye-bye.